thank you for listening.
So one of the things that's just my husband in the kitchen blowing his nose, if you're wondering.
And a commentary about this situation.
Crap. Okay. So we've been chatting with the beautiful people in the chat room, and they are like first-hand witnesses to some degree of what it is. And so my question was, well, how is it there? You know, they are up close and personal. What is going on? And they sent us the link.
It's a YouTube, so we'll have to watch it.
Okay. And so there's a lot of, you know, mess. You can imagine how messy it is, but how are the people? Is it surreal? I mean, I find it's important. Like in Michigan, we've never had to come up with care packages or emergency packages. So the first time I watched Sheldon create an emergency pack on the show The Big Bang Theory, it was, wow, we never had to around in these parts of Michigan.
Which is fascinating because you have tornadoes every summer.
But we never look at it as a very devastating, if it comes through, it may wipe out a house or two, but we're not talking, the hardest part, the luxuries, is your necessities. Going to the bathroom, clean towels, clean toilet paper, clean clothes.
When we lost power, the thing I missed the most is refrigeration. We can use the restroom wherever, but you gotta have a fridge to keep the food cold.
And taking showers. My husband still had to go to work, and so he had to, you know, you had to heat up a way to heat up the water.
I boiled a big pan of water on the
and he stood there, one rag at a time, scrubbing down, but he did it.
Well, I have my daily shower. I'm gonna take it, by gosh.
As long as he's determined, yes.
Good to know. But that's funny because growing up in Los Angeles, they're always telling about emergency preparedness because of the earthquakes and everything like that. They often are reminders about, are you ready? Do you have your emergency prepare kit? Where your family? Do you have your plan? Do you know what's going to happen, kind of thing?
And what's interesting is how we gravitate to areas where we feel that we can survive in. When you think of the harsh environments, it reminds me when I was reading about Tibetan books, what they would take those babies when they were first born, and they don't want slackers. I don't even think that's the word I want. But if a baby is going to be sickly, do it in now, because it's going to be doing you a favor. You'll be doing a favor to the child, because everybody has to work hard in that harsh environment of where they live. So they would put babies in waters, and once they turn blue, they'd wrap them up, and if they survive, they'll have no problem. They'll make it. But this is before we opened up the fourth chakra. This is before we opened up the mental body and the emotional body are really affecting us. So history has those points of where we're thrown off center, but we are so vibrant in these last hundreds of years. The vibrancy of it is that the intensity of the thoughts is very active. The intensity of the colors are very intense. They literally are you're going to be affected by it because you're not sure exactly how to read it. So you're learning how to adjust and attune. And I think Chris was there, and I was telling Chris, because Chris is all this person that carries that high frequency. You know, he has to operate in a different operating system, but the intensity would be much stronger for him. Because it is just the way that he chose to come into this planet. And thank goodness for people like this, because they are actually called pillars. These are energy people that hold and do their best to translate the world in that higher frequency into this dimension. And so they're like anchoring it, so that when we do go into a higher frequency, it will be a much smoother transition. So people are pioneers, people are different, and this is what ends up happening. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Because you have to have certain people on the planet first to help.
Well, they're the, I'm just losing all my vocabulary, but they're the people that go out first to set it up.
Yes,
so
soul-wise, yes.
The next group can come in, and it's like they've come in to kind of set up shop, so to speak.
Yes, and more power to more power to those souls, because they have to go through a lot of scrutiny. Is that the word I want?
Yeah.
Because they're not understood. The old days was, if you didn't understand it, you destroy it, or you make mock of it, or you make fun of it, or there's something definitely wrong with it. There's nobody better than us type thing. But they have to go through so much. But their system it looks like it's not functioning to us as we look at them, but they're functioning very well because they're taking in way more of a frequency than we ever could. They're more open. Let's put it this way. We were told that we can only take 400 billion bits of information in all at once, right? No, it comes at us, but we can only carry like 2,000 bits. The rest of it, we have to have filters in order to process to be human on this planet. And the people that have to come in that don't have all those filters, they probably take in 4,000 or 10,000 bits, and it can be very shocking. Carly Fleshman, I love this girl. She has an extreme autism, but she learned how to communicate through a computer. And she functions just like you and I. Does she physically function like you and I? No. She does jerk around, she does move, because that's how she's learned to physically process this frequency. But inside is the consciousness, and it's just like you and I. Very brilliant, very bright, very wonderful, and very organized, she's on TV shows, she has books written. I mean, she's an incredible woman. Can't say girl anymore because she's grown up.
Right, she's a young lady. Watching her on her Facebook page, the Doctor's TV show.
Oh, she wanted that so bad. He's so dreamy, especially the one I know who she's talking about.
Yeah, it was adorable to watch her process, and then the interview and that kind of thing on the TV show. So it's fun to.
And they even asked her to do a segment of something else too. So they're needed. Because consciousness is all there is on this planet. We just happen to be playing with it, in and out of activity with it, and we get caught up into the emotional, mental, body process of it, because that's where we are right now, and we're going through our chakras again to see if we can understand and to feel safe, I can't even remember, start from the bottom to the top. Why can't I remember?
Your root chakra?
Well, the root chakra, go get that little piece of paper down the pyramid. Go behind the camera.
Yep.
Never mind. Go in front of the camera, dear. Why not? So the bottom chakra, which is the
Your
tank
root.
part, the root, it's the I am. We're learning who are we. I just posted a meme up of me, and it was about what Oprah Winfrey had said. I used to be afraid of when people say, who do you think you are? And now she says, this is who I am. And so I took a picture of me and put the words up there. But it is. I am this. And there has to be no shame, no guilt. You don't need that. And you can feel like you survive. And you don't have to feel like you fight. You don't have to do that. When you feel like you are, and you are being that particular person, you don't have to attract that hell in. The second chakra is just below the belly button. And it's to feel. You're learning about that feeling factor through the heart now. And the feeling factor doesn't just have to be emotions. And this is what I'm helping people to heal, and they call in for a one-on-one. I say, okay, now I need you to feel this. And they're like, but I'm not a feeling person. And I realize that they're probably digital. I says, can you sense it in your body? Oh, yeah, that. And the thing is, it's not an emotion. It's a feeling. You can feel when you got to go to the bathroom. You have a feeling when something's over. You have a feeling like we were feeling something was happening. We just didn't know how to describe it. And it hit the emotions buttons, made everybody blah, 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 all over the place, but we knew something was off. Correct? So you're learning to feel not just on the emotional level. And then you go into the third chakra, which is the solar plexus, right underneath your sternum. Put your breast there, because I do. It's about where do you take the action and being who you are and what you feel, allowing yourself to create who you can become. Then the fourth chakra. Now that you have to understand, the high heart is open. Each level of the love and the heart. The heart has been the collector of protecting yourself, pushing away, bringing people towards you, putting up the walls, because it has collected all the information from the lower three chakras and it's collected the information from the upper three chakras, and it's met in the middle of the heart. And this is where the evaluation is, this is where you're putting it. And so, if your heart's not into it, then know something's off and you need to heal this. The heart, I have been working deeply on the heart, and that's why all of a sudden it was like, the energies are completely weird today. Trying to do my best to have a conversation with my husband. I says, I noticed these clues, and when his first response was just to be human, I should have known to shut up, but it had already let the cat out of the bag. I'm like, what just happened? So now I have to understand and soothe and do something about what's happening. You know, Jen, I'm not sure exactly what happened there either, but again, that heart area is that can I trust?
Normally I'm usually like a week out lag time between whatever you've been working on. I know that.
Yeah, I'm a good setup for you. You're welcome.
Right. You know,
I'm about of it.
But now we're going through it at the same time. Yay. And so last night was the observation. I haven't done, because I asked, can I do some meridian tapping or some hope therapy on it? It was like, no, it's just observation. Well, fantastic. Part of the healing.
Nobody likes just the observation.
So it's but I'm also working on the heart too, because I've had some really core heart issues come up to surface too.
But it's the heart is so deep because this is where all the intricate layers. This is where your DNA becomes unwinding. The matters of the heart. You know, you just think love. Well, it's not just about love.
It's all those protections. It's how you relate to other people.
Yes.
And now I'm interested in having those heart walls come down. Well, dang, now it feels like I'm wide open. It's like, well, I want to put those heart walls back up. Not very enlightened or spiritual, but that's where I was in the feeling process of it. But I know it's important to keep unraveling those parts.
So when you look at the bottom three, it has to operate through the fourth. So if you are a baby and you're at the I am, you're learning to survive. And then when you start to grow up, you start to feel the environment. And then by the teenage years, you start to become I do, regardless. And then you go into the fourth that you want some love. But are you able to, in the fifth chakras, can you speak? Can you use your will, which is the volition to move forward, and speak and take action in the way that you want? But are you going to be thrown off balance, or are you going to be balanced so that in the sixth chakra you can see and observe on another scale? Or do you need to be off-center? And then the seventh chakra is that you understand. This is also if you take, again, from the baby to the toddler to the teenager to the adult, and then you start to get into the areas of old age. Their growth processes of the way that you awaken. It is also the stages of how, these are all consciousnesses, by the way. Each individual one of these are conscious states. And you're living through your conscious states. You take an issue and you have to run it through the whole system to see if you have healed it, processed out, or doing what you need to do. Most people get stuck in the fifth one because they're unable to do with their will what they want. And then their fourth one, they're shut right down. Yeah, articulate it, talk about it. So I'm going to have my husband hold it up to the camera so that people can see it a little bit more. And Jen got that offline.
I can't go too far ahead because of the shadow.
Okay. Oh, well, we can. I could scan it in and send it as a JPEG, and then you can post it on the YouTube.
Right. And the thing is that I can, be steady. So hopefully, after I talk,
actually, there's a Facebook fan page, Teach Meditation to Children, and this was posted up there.
See, and that's perfect for children.
Yep.
Okay. So the earthquake is that people are still about they're at the I am stage. Am I going to be able to survive this? One more thing on top of it, what they call it, the straw that broke the camel's back. One more thing. And it is about the vulnerability. It is about whether you're going to be safe. Can you turn to your neighbor? Or is your neighbor going to loot you, or is it going to help you? Which one is it going to be? I heard there's a lot of looting going on, like any other place, but it's like people taking advantage of certain things.
Well, that's what happens after, that's...
Except in Japan. They said
That's
that
true.
There was no looting in Japan.
Because it's
different. It's a different culture.
Different culture, they don't do that.
Right.
Or
And
it's
that's
almost unheard of, I should say.
That is true. Well, just like when you go to Europe, there's no guns, right?
Right. They stab each other instead.
They stab each other instead. But it is that cultural difference. Where did you grow up? And I know that I love Michigan. Why? Because I like the seasons, but I also don't like the hurricanes. Water and me just don't seem to mix.
It's funny because you're in the middle of the Great Lakes.
Yeah,
I feel safe. They'll just all go the other way. I don't feel
like... We're on
like...
high ground here. We're a couple hundred miles. We live in the only county, I think, that doesn't have its own lake.
Okay, we don't have our own... But here's the interesting part, though, is that I also see us in the valley. So when it happens is when tornadoes happen, they go around us. And it's like, to me, it was interesting to watch.
Totally.
If you missed it on the YouTube, my husband's, I said we're kind of like in the valley, and he pointed to Jen because she's from California and she doesn't like to be called
a valley girl.
Correct.
And so her fighting dukes are up. So that's between them. I'm going to back my boat up here. Nope. Yes, I will have the sounds. I'll make sure you understand. God.
That's a boat.
Yeah,
It's a foghorn.
Leghorn.
I was
Okay.
thinking that too.
I think this is a great time to take
For a break.
Yeah, we'll be right back. Oh, I like the fact that Kimberly says that she is a net practitioner. I have to say, I have a net practitioner. It's a neuro emotional technique.
Net?
That's correct.
She doesn't work in a fishing boat?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, what's interesting is after I had started to do the Chinese medicines, writing down the emotions of the 12 meridians, or 14 I should say, I bumped into this other lady that was teaching about how to take care of applying the pulse points. And then I find out a year later of what even a net person was, because somebody says, oh, you're doing net. And I'm like, okay, explain, because I have no idea what that is. So there's
What's this
ideas.
stand for?
My understanding is emotional training or technique. I mean, she probably could write down what NET means, but
I was just curious.
it just means that stuff's already been on the planet, and now all this great stuff is coming to the surface. Oh, yes,
Oh,
it
wow.
is. Yeah, that's what I thought, because it was weird. I know that I brought mine to light when I was talking to the one lady, and she says, well, we're not allowed to do what you're doing, particularly with it, but it is almost the exact similar, same thing. And I thought that was so odd, because when you start to begin to look for the words that define what the 12 meridians are, you don't really, they're kind of consistent. There's some that are different, but then you actually can start seeing the rhythm. And so when I looked at the pulse points and learning that you can do readings with this, you can do healings with this, you can do so many things on the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical level, that's when it was called Hope Therapy. But like I said, this all came into play, and then I find out that it's already been on the planet, and I'm like, well, yeah, because it's in the Chinese medicine, and somebody says no. Now, I've never really met a
Neuro-emotional technique.
I haven't really ever met a net person except for over the phone. But last time because when I checked into it, I thought, oh, well, maybe I should become verified through them if they already have a technique. And apparently you have to be a physician or some type of nurse or some type of person that can qualify. I'm a medicine woman and I don't qualify. But that's okay, no big deal. Because God has handed to me in another way. I'll take it as the way I'm supposed to. But as that medicine woman, you're supposed to be able to be like the shaman that sees things before it becomes unfolding in your part of your area or your neck of the woods. Like the shaman can see the ship that makes the water ripple, but it doesn't mean he discovered the ship. He just means that he actually brought it into existence to his people. And that's exactly what we're supposed to do, is to bring stuff that existence that has been already on this planet, but now it is to give it a different look and show what it is in this part of the world. That's why when you go to California it's different, you go to New York it's different, and you go to Tibet it's different. All of these places have different kinds of climates and different kinds of things, but one of the things that is certain is that the emotions that run through a person are pretty much the same. The energies that run through a person are pretty much the same. Now, I haven't really seen a lot of differences except for some people that are born with organs on the wrong, not the wrong side of the body, but different side of the body. Some points on the body are thicker than the others because I don't understand that when I never really asked to dive into it, but
Well, it depends on the culture and the climate that you're born into. You may be physically born into knowing how to be ready for that environment.
yes, Kimberly says, trust me, you do it totally like her. It's amazing. That's good. That's really good confirmation for me then. So that means I have been tuning in and channeling in very well then. Because, again, I was never trained, except for, like I said, I had talked to one lady, and she says, well, this is the pieces that I think would be beneficial to your stuff. And I can't even remember the name of the thing. It was the emotional technique, I think. That's how I remember it. THE.
That's a unique word.
That's an article.
Yes. The.
A.
But anyway. Okay, so I like to see activity. I'm glad to see all you wonderful people. We haven't decided if we're going to do interviews just yet this next week because we have been learning the learning curve of bringing stuff in, and we haven't had the meetings what we need to. So we're going what you call with the flow. What are we supposed to be this week? What are we supposed to be next week? We don't know. It's called going with the flow. It's like when I teach the empowerment through enlightenment classes. I never know what we're going to teach or what's going to be said, but it always is fun and exciting.
Right, and I trust that it's divinely guided.
Yeah, and I do too. And so it's going to unfold the way it needs to. Now, I feel like we need to do not hate the word lecture. I think I need to heal that. How's that one for you? Hey, Kimberly, have you saw our Halloween stuff? You know, we realized we weren't Facebook friends.
We never announced the winner on our blog.
I know.
Next year, that'll have to be Wednesday or something.
Well, Kimberly, you're the winner. How's that for you?
Surprise!
I think it's
You
because
won.
she didn't have electricity and stuff. I don't think it mattered. Probably the spirit probably said you couldn't communicate, and now that she's back.
The colorblind test. Yes.
And now I get lost. What? Oh, the colorblind. Yes, it was. Yes. Now, did you see the? We did
lost.
some the.
Yeah, I won! Yay! Yes, you did. Woohoo! Jump up and down and tell everybody you're excited.
Now, my husband says he's lost. Well, let me find you.
Okay, on our YouTube videos, there's special effects that you can do. So we had a contest a couple weeks ago
And just one in particular.
about we have a section that we did something special, goofy to. If you can name what it is, in this way, then you get to win a reading.
Oh.
And it was the colorblind. It was the coloring that happened.
Right, and
Now-
she's calling it the colorblind test.
Yeah.
Yes, we recognize.
Okay.
So Jen will, but anyways, we realized we're not friends with some of these people, and it was on our MW Reveal for Facebook, and it's like, interesting. I wanted to send to you, because my husband laughed so hard when we made the Halloween,
The introduction.
3 Halloween intros.
Yeah, the introduction to.
You gotta send this personally to Kimberly, she'll get a kick out of this. And I realized I couldn't because I wasn't friends with you.
We weren't friends. Medicine woman.
But I couldn't do anything about it because, I don't know exactly what happened. It says, I must have invited somebody, or she invited somebody that really couldn't stand talking to people. And
or
so,
something. So we were on probation.
yeah, we were apparently bad girls and we didn't even know what we did.
Right.
I'm like, do you know that? No, okay, apparently. But we were suspended
Now
from
we-
saying
now we
hi
can-
to anybody.
now we can make friends with people.
I sent in caused
What's that? What?
I said, that complaint I sent in caused that?
Thanks, honey. Appreciate it.
Pay to support.
My wife wants to friend me on Facebook. I don't like it.
Okay, so I will send it to you. There was 3 or...
Right, because there was
Or
two
go to YouTube and you'll
two
see them
shows
too.
on Monday, the Blog Talk Show, the Sepia Show, and then the Wednesday night Blog Talk Show. Each had their own little introduction on the YouTube.
And they were fun to make. They were just a spontaneous
A little over the top, but it was
Yeah,
Halloween.
the last one was really over the top because my husband was involved. But other than that, why?
Oh, yeah. Well,
I
you
had to
posted
explain
that
to you.
picture at Facebook, and my sister made a comment.
Yes, she
And
did.
someone with me and the doofy-looking face.
My
You
husband
weren't supposed
stood
to
there.
put that picture on the internet.
Now that he tells me this after I put it up how many days ago?
A week.
Right, I know. I saw that Bailey Ray liked it, and I was gonna. I
I-
can't like that she liked it.
You can like her comment.
Oh, that's right. I can.
I don't know where you're going, but yeah, you
Oh.
can.
Oh,
But
I
I'll-
thought that she just liked it, but no.
Maybe
Oh,
I
she
should.
did.
Maybe I should take those pictures
No.
of Scott and post them directly on your wall, Kimberly, so you know what my
No.
husband's
so
no,
awesome.
no,
Yes.
no.
But his
no.
face-
And tag her in each one. That would be funny.
You know.
No.
But as far as giving, my husband,
Facebook unwind.
kisses. I mean, he was making dorky faces.
I'm glad only one of my work friends is.
Did
See
they
what I-
see it?
No, I didn't say so.
So he needs to heal that. Kimberly says you need to heal that because you're so much into being an isolation dude. We need to release that.
The hermit.
I see Brad Pitt on your wall.
That'd
Really?
be me.
The dude. That'd be you.
That's really me. That's how I look. Yeah.
You're well, it's not that funny. But you are
You're
adorable.
laughing at me.
She's laughing at me
I'm
now.
laughing appointment with somebody who was laughing, and I don't know who that was.
Brenda.
Oh, now she's trying to justify. I have no clue.
Okay.
Are you taking offense over there, dude?
No, I'm
We
just
needed
like,
a comic
You know, I'm
relief
better
up
looking
here.
than that, so yeah.
Okay. So they're talking about essential oils. That spurred Jen to jump up and get cystics.
No,
Or-
cistus.
C-I-S-T-U-S.
Must be a citric type thing.
I'm assuming.
I don't know.
Do you
but it
know
smells bad.
now, Kimberly
Some
and
mold
Karen,
off
Do you
of
know-
and any of you people,
Young
if you
living-
knew what that smelled like, the C-I-S-T-U-S.
Think turpentine. Only a
He
little
says
less pleasant.
turpentine. Jen, what nice word did you say about it?
It just smelled disgusting.
No, she said it smelled like poop.
Oh.
It smells like poop.
No, it's more of a turpentine smell.
Well, your nose is plugged. I don't know
I
what you
know.
get. I smell citrus, but then I don't know what else I
think
smell.
it's I think that's the word for meaning mold that comes off an orange.
But then she finally went back and got another one called
Yeah,
frankincense.
frankincense. Yeah, hey,
Here,
if it's good
maybe
enough
this
for
might-
Jesus, good enough for us.
Here you go. Smell.
He was born in a barn after all.
Well, it was frankincense and birth and all that stuff, you know.
Myrrh, yes.
Myrrh. Whatever.
Mirth is happiness.
Well, I was happy.
That's true. So myrrh and frankincense and gold. Those were also the
That was a little better, but I can't
the
quite tell my
spices-
nose is plugged.
Oh, now you say it.
the spices that the three kings or three wise men brought were the spices that are used for embalming. So it was interesting that
Oh,
they knew ahead
really?
of time what was potentially what was going to happen on his journey. So they brought them in preparedness.
Oh,
I'll be darned.
wow.
Now, what's interesting is that we're not helping young Libby for Kimberly. I haven't used that. Maybe I never will.
Oh, no. We didn't say whose brand this was.
Which did you know?
I did.
She did. Did you not hear
Oh, whoops.
that? Okay.
It's really great stuff.
Whoopsie or oopsie?
Opsy.
Oopsie. Oh,
Opsy.
you'd think Kimberly's in the room with us. She's... Okay, somebody take a card. Alrighty, and then we're going to do some homework on it and see what happens.
Heal the ouch. Yeah.
Alright, so you read line by line, I interpret.
Line by line, heal the ouch.
Oopsie!
Reversed. Okay, reverse. This card is the message urging you to make amends for any harm you've done to another.
Alright, stop. Snooky. Oopsie, snooky, whatever. Okay, harm done to another. You're asking to forgive. You know what's an amazing? Is that
Amazing thing is what?
I've healed so many things about his forgiveness. The universe had me go back to a particular age, and it was around 26, I think it was, and I thought that was Jen's chair, if everybody wants to know what that was. And the picture, and I could not mentally pick something out. I emotionally couldn't pick it out, but picture-wise,
Yes.
a picture is an image that can get stuck in your head, and that can literally cause you to, it says the subconscious mind's attempt to fulfill this image and will direct or misdirect behavior to make sure that the image comes to pass. And I thought to myself, this image, and they were talking about I had to forgive, and I said, what do I have to forgive? My husband cheated on me, blah, blah, blah.
Not me.
Not
First one.
the first one. And I thought, I'm checking to see if there's anything I haven't forgiven. And all I saw was this quick picture. And this quick picture was, he was supposed to take me out. He said we had no money, we couldn't do this. And so he was supposed to take me to the movie to see Robin Williams in, I think it was called The Awakening. And then I find out that he couldn't because he had taken her out that night. And he had to tell me. So the picture came about when he stood there telling me about how he took this girl out on a date, and the picture stuck there. And I looked at that picture and I could feel it, that I couldn't forgive. And then when he said he slept with her, then I created other pictures I will not talk about. And it's like, oh crap! I could almost start feeling the familiarity of, I'm shocked, or that I need to get rid of it. So I had to heal out those pictures. And so, again, I had forgiven him, but I didn't just say it. I released it. I did my homework. I did the tapping. And to the point where it was like a few years later, I was pregnant, then married to Scott, and he had called me up and he apologized. He said, I'm sorry for doing this, and this.
First husband called you up and apologized.
Yes.
Right, okay. Not me calling you. Apologize. Right.
I'm sorry, let's get the story straight. I'm married again. I'm pregnant for the second time by my husband that I'm married to right now. God, Scott. But my step-husband, what the fuck? Stop it! Why are you making it complicated? I have an ex-husband that called me up and apologized for being such an asshole. And he explained everything about it. And he explained why he was. He said, I don't expect you to forgive me. And I was shocked because I had just did a cord releasing, which we call cord switching. And lo and behold, it worked. And I thought, that's amazing. So then, there are things that you need to forgive. So like I said, I had thought I had already forgiven. And I had, except for I found a picture. So the next line.
Praise yourself honestly. Have you been selfish, greedy, or inconsiderate to others?
Did you say praise or appraise?
Appraise. A praise.
So when you think of the word appraise, Jen.
That means you give value, you give an assessment of value to something.
Okay, so really look, and this is where I tell people, to go really be honest and really look inward and just bring up all this stuff, because we're not asking you to judge it. We're asking you to say, yes, this was familiar and I want to be done with it. So go ahead and read line that again.
Okay. Appraise yourself honestly. Have you been selfish, greedy, or inconsiderate of others?
Now, the thing is we're not asking you to denigrate yourself when you find this. This is very important. I was taking care of my mother. I had to assess, and when I went in and looked honestly at the feelings, I was feeling burdened. And so I had to look at that word, and I felt bad about it, but I started to heal out burden because there was a lot taxing on me at the time of what was happening with my mother. And she was probably feeling like a burden, and so we don't need to have all that accelerate. So literally, when you look at it, we're asking you to notice the emotions and then the negative emotions, and then tap those out so they don't have to haunt you or control you. You need to be in charge again, not all this extra stuff. Go ahead.
Have you harbored resentment toward those who have harmed you in the past?
Now, this is where you call resentment. You call this revenge, and it is. We've seen a lot of this. It's where you really. I have a bone to pick. I want him to get it through his head. You know, I got to get this person to understand what I'm feeling, and this person did it to me. And a lot of times when you're asked to forgive, the last thing you want to do is let them get away with it. What do I mean by that, Jen?
Well, I'm thinking of a particular situation in my life where, we were doing spiritual investigation last night, that I innocently probably came into a situation, this other person was upset, took it out on me, and kept doing that, and now I got to the point where now I want to make that person feel as bad as they made me feel bad.
Exactly. And what you're referring to is what I call tanking. And the tanking is where this moment of, happened, and you have no way to process it. And the only way you know how to process it in a very unhealthy manner is to pick somebody that is next in line. Usually it's an innocent person, and then you dump your crap or run them over like a tank, and they have no idea what just happened. So I just had to explain this to somebody that's one of my good friends, and they're like, I can't. This is what happened to her, was that she, liked a political campaign, but it was all about something positive, and she had put it on her own wall, but it showed up on the news feed of this other woman, and she chews her out. How dare you put this on my news feed? And you can't control the fact of what news goes on your wall. Their particular news feed wall.
Right. If you're friends, it's going to show up on your news feed.
Right. Well, they were tanking all over her and blaming her, and how dare you should know better. And I'm like, holy crap. So I said, please don't take offense by this woman. Don't be hurt by it. We have to understand why you created your soul created to be tanked. And so she asked me what tanking was, and I explained it to her. So literally, you have to understand that when it's like a domino effect. Something happened to her, so now they got to innocently find an innocent person, dump it on them, and then that innocent person don't know what to do it, and you're going to want to retaliate back or dump on somebody else because you're not strong enough to stop the first tank that happened to bowl you over. So it becomes this, I don't know if I can let him get away with it. I have this wonderful friend that was going through a divorce, and literally the pain of what she said he put her through literally was actually a signature of what her parents put her through. And so he tried to explain, he did everything he can. And we were watching a TV show last night called Eureka, and there was all these characters. And they had, in Eureka, don't mean to be a spoiler alert, but they went into, had a virtual reality land where their brains were hooked up. And so their feeling state was that it felt real. The emotions, the thought process, everything felt real. So when they got unplugged from it and came back to the real world, it was hard to tell the difference of who to talk to, who can you trust, what was going on, and everything was literally, you know, what's the truth here? So one person, which was Carter, was involved in the thread in everybody's life, but they wanted to blame him for all the problems. And he's like, oh, but he didn't have a leg to stand on. He was trying to get them to understand but it didn't matter. You know, but they just took it out on him. And then you have the ones that took information that you really don't need. Now here's the thing, I've watched many shows. One of the shows I watched was this teenager, she could read the minds of her friends. And when she started to read everybody's thoughts, she started to become mean. Because, how dare you say I'm fat? How dare you not like me? And these are everyday thoughts that people run through their head because it's a checklist, it's a comparison list. It is to help them function, it's help them to recreate their reality. Oh, they're so-and-so, what the color of their skin looks like. But when you are hearing it, and you're hearing it on the emotional, mental body without having any spiritual influence, you will start to what do you call it, Jen? You'll make more out of it than it needs to. You blow it up. You go anal.
Mountain of molehill.
Mountain of the molehill. All of that stuff, and you then put yourself in the position that you have to hate, be upset, and take it out on everybody. Okay, so it's important to understand that we don't need to know what's going on in every thought is in the person's head, because when they're recreating a thought, they're reconstructing the reality. They're doing it every single day, just like you are. When it's the ones that literally start to repeat themselves that causes energy loss or sickness that needs to be addressed and healed. Not to be attacked and condemned, but the most people do not want the other person to get away with it, because what are they doing? They're finger pointing and blaming them and saying, you're the one that caused me pain. But really it is how you could not in that moment know how to process it. Because you didn't know how to process it, it's still a fresh wound, and you will be addressed by the soul that says, have you healed it yet? And then everything will be calm, all of a sudden it'll be in your face again, have you healed it yet? And you're like, why the hell does this have to constantly be coming at my face? Because your subconscious mind's #1 job is to preserve the body. It's asking you to correct it. It's asking you to look at it. Did we get all our breaks, or are we supposed to do one?
No, we're supposed to.
Let's take this one and I'll come right back and finish this. Sorry, I didn't see that. Oh, good point.
All the way home.
And my husband's blowing his nose again, if you can hear it.
No!
He's screaming, don't tell!
Are you back on?
Yes, we're
Yes,
back.
You're
yes, we
supposed to
are.
warn me.
Oh,
honey,
we're on. We're on now.
Okay, so
Okay, I can breathe again.
we were talking about healing the ouch. So let's get
Let's
back
get
to
the next sentence here. Practice deep and radical forgiveness.
Now, here's the thing. No.
No?
Because seriously, if you don't use a tool, don't do it. You are going to cause your...
Oh, that's deep and radical forgiveness.
Well, you didn't let me finish.
Is healing
You didn't
tools.
let me. I think it's tied into. It says practice deep and radical forgiveness. In order to be free, to know healing, you must surrender your old hearts and begin anew.
Okay, but most of the time, people don't understand the healing tools.
Okay.
I have gone to places, about 4 different people that talked about, let's do radical forgiveness. I'm supposed to call a person up and say, I'm sorry for my problem, or you have a problem with me, or I'm
Oh,
sorry
gosh.
that
Are
I
you
was
serious?
the fault at this. And and the deep radical forgiveness was a physical action that somehow involved that you're supposed to do this, this, and this. And I'm telling you, yes, I would like you to, but it should start from the inward. If you feel like you need to forgive radically, you need to do this, go in and tap out that familiarity. Because it's your body that's operating and telling the brain to behave a certain way. The familiarity is what's causing you not to forgive. The treasure chest method, which I've really put into a lot of details, which now I don't got it on, I don't know, do I have it on our wall, MWR wall? I do know I have it on Medicine Woman for You, that's my page. And so one of the thing is that the treasure chest is basically about just forgiveness. That's what the treasure chest is about. It is you surrendering those emotions, those habits, those pictures, and putting it all in the treasure chest. And the method, just pay attention to the method, watch the video, and it's short. I'm soon will have a meditation up. I don't know if it'll be to sign up for something or what it is, but hopefully I'll have it up soon, or it'll be for sale. So, now the next line.
The next line.
Yep.
Okay. It says, okay, I read that. Forgiving yourself and loving yourself is important too.
This is huge because there's the conscious level of how you love yourself, and you do need to train yourself to have a pathway for that. If you do not have a pathway, it'll then, well, this is what will happen. Now, Jen, you with me?
Yes.
Okay, one of the things is this picture in our head that we are constantly looking for clues to help us heal. But if you're constantly looking for clues and you don't have that constant picture of loving yourself or the constant picture of finding the goodness, you can then become unbalanced and become more like we were talking about with the zanes and the eureka. You end up going into an obsessive state, and you totally miss the picture of creating a healthy pathway. You have two energies that come at you at the same time. Do you remember our conversation or anything about the other night? Barely.
Kind of. I mean, I know the situation that, so if you want, I mean, I can explain the situation that I'm investigating.
If you'd like to, if you think it would help here.
Okay, so with forgiveness, so there's a particular family member in my life that I am having issues with. I don't even know if this person knows that I'm having issues with them. It goes back to something that happened over the summer, and I'm choosing not to participate with them because it's constantly putting my hand back in the fire. And I'm looking at the root of what happened. Yes, my soul came in, this person came into my life and all that kind of stuff. The core issues are about not having a voice.
Always wrong.
Always wrong. I can't do it right. My words are going to be twisted around. Nothing is done right. So then I came up with this long litany last night. The feeling state. I can't even. I was anticipating going to a family function where this person's going to be in a few months. And this is just anticipating being around this person. I just got to the point. I came into the office with Brenda, and I just sat there. I said, "This is just making me cry." I completely lost it because of that emotional state of just anticipating being around this person. And then I came up with this long list of this litany of what I would want to tell this person to let them know how much pain they have caused in my life. And to some degree, on one level, it's making sure that they feel pain and retaliation of the pain that they caused me.
Because there's a part of you that wishes that you could say something to them, but you can't. But if to their partner, if this person would listen, then it feels like you'd be able to resolve this. And that is part of when you have an unforgiven soul. Now, I'm not saying that she's not a forgiving person. She is. But that particular age that this stuff created is still holding pictures. It's still holding the pain.
Right.
It's still holding
it's still
the stories.
Living it, even though I've chronically aged to this point, I can still go back at that point and still know exactly what it feels like.
Now, the age that she is now, if we were not to include the little girl, she has forgiven quite a bit. You've created situations where you actually could talk, just
and
little things.
Right.
All these wonderful things came about it. But when she was anticipating what was going to happen, she literally went to the obsession with the little girl inside her that says, "Oh, no," and literally started to build this up and forgetting that the positive energy is there. And I said, "Where's the self-love?" And we turned it around and looked at the fact, what if your sister was
going to help you with this other person.
Well, here's the thing. If this person was sitting there doing this, meaning they were thrown off center, they felt insecure. And their world is upheavaled. Now, they have to mirror to you what it feels like to have an upheaval world, because it is a domino effect of the illusionary string. It isn't the words, it's the, oh my God, I can't be me in this particular space. Does this make sense? So you have to take and keep passing on the illusion of I can't survive. I can't survive. And then you have to pass the illusion on of how I survived the moment. I survived the moment. It's taking the mother and daughter, or the parents and the children, and it is literally saying, oh yeah, I had to go to school
upside down both ways with duct tape on my head and no
snow.
boots.
Yeah, and no boots, exactly.
Whatever the stupid stories are.
But the point is it's passing down the lineage of the story. Just pay attention.
Yes.
I want you to learn from my mistake, dear. So I'm going to give you all about my health, how I took care of it. But
that
you would never
would
think differently. Sorry.
Or that you should just suck it up and I had to do it, so get out the door and go.
Yes, and one of the things I learned by having my kids was they're going to totally do it differently than me because they are of that energy. Now, if they want to ask me because they're not sure, that's different. They're asking. But I let my kids unfold to figure it out on their own. But I don't leave them flapping in the wind because I also learned by watching you that when you were left to put up with somebody that was hurting you, meant that they gave them permission to continue to hurt you.
Yep.
And that's, again, another picture that we need to break down and change. So when you're passing this down, when one person takes to another, it's literally just passing down, this is what happened to me, I want you to feel it too, now this is how I handle it, and I don't care how you handle it. I'm just trying to figure out how to process this moment. So it gets to be an ongoing contagious thing. That's why you see diseases in the world, because it is very much contagious in that form. I hope that makes sense. We're just about out. I can't believe it. We're not even done with what that is. But we're not going to finish that. Is there any line left?
No, I'll read the last couple lines here. It says, know the imperfections of the human personality. Walk tall as you take the path of the shaman, the wise elder who is willing to go into the shadows to bring healing light to old wounds.
Yep, and so you can. Now, before we go? Was that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was pretty much it.
I'm supposed to pick out an animal, and so I did, and it was the ostrich. Be grounded. Be practical and grounded with the new knowledge coming to you. Assimilate knowledge before acting on it. And allow yourself to know that you can and will be in this new energy. You don't have to do it the old way, and you don't have to take your feelings out on other people. You can actually process them out by using a healing tool. Jen, anything you'd like to say?
Thanks for all the listeners and the people participating in the chat room.
Yes, and so we
Good
say
night,
thank you.
everybody.
All right, so we're
Many
just about...
blessings and happy healing.
Yeah, we'll see you again on Wednesday or on Friday. So keep out looking on the Facebooks, and we'll tell you about it. Bye.